I was quite enjoying the background music there. I was vibing a little bit. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome. I am JoshStrifeHayes. I am your host for today as we talk to the voice actors behind League of Legends for Nava's Day of Play, where we focus on human voices in video games and voice acting. And I did not know when I agreed to do this. It was 2:30 a.m. local time. I hope you're all having a lovely day. Let's introduce our fantastic voice actors in no particular order. Chia, hello.
Hello, hello, darling.
How are
You
you
look
doing today?
you look fresh as a daisy.
Thank you very much. I've been doing nothing but building and painting Warhammer all day. That's been my entire day. It's been beautiful.
Nice.
So, Chia, for anyone who may not know who you are or what you do, just give us a brief introduction about who you are and what you do.
Of course, of course. So my name is Chia Court, and for those of you who are here for League, you know me as Vi. And actually, I'm also in DC Dark Legions as Raven. So I'm a voice actor, and I'm here to promote Nava and raise some money, and let's make sure that we're not all subject to AI overlords.
I am very much looking forward to not being replaced by AI, so I'm very much on our side when we say let's push back and keep the humanity within the performances. Continuing to go round, we have Jay Preston. Jay, hello.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going good, Jay. How
Happy
have
to
you
be
been, man?
here. I have been great. I've been drinking wine all day, so I apologize for
Fantastic. This
any
is going to go really well then. I'm excited for that
wineisms.
energy. Jay, for anyone who may not know, just
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Jay Preston, I'm from New England, and I am a voice actor. And I have voiced lots and lots of things. And one of my very first ever gigs was Maokai. I've said it many different ways as I was this character, and I've said Mayokai. I've said so many things, and I've heard it said so many ways in the streaming world. But yeah, just happy to be here with y'all. And I also am the creative director of the VoiceOver Resource Guide and founder of the VoiceOver Collective. And I created the VO Weekly Workout. So I do a lot for voice actors, and just happy to be a part of it all. And I'm
That
glad
is
I made
something
it.
I'm very excited about talking to you later. I've been reading up on that. I've got lots of questions. I'm sure our viewers will have lots of questions as well. It seems to be an excellent resource for voice actors all over. So we're going to dive into the nitty gritty of that later on. And last but absolutely not least, Joe, hello.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? My name is Joe Zj. I'm a voice actor here in Los Angeles. I have been involved with League for a while, starting off with Machine Gun Misfortune exosuit and also Space Groove Blitzcrank. So I'm very firmly pigeonholed into the AI slash robot space, which is, I think, maybe ironic. I'm not really sure, but we're here to have a good time. I've been all over the place. I've done lots and lots, like thousands and thousands of projects as a voice actor in my last like 12, 13-year career. So I'm glad to be here with Nava and all the great people that make everything Nava does possible.
Joe fully understood the assignment on that one. Didn't even need an introduction, just launched straight into the spiel of exactly who he is, exactly what he does. Joe has no time to waste. We are indeed here
No
to talk
time
about
left.
NAVA, the National Association of Voice Actors. I believe we have some tech guys working behind the scenes. Could you please bring up the donation page so we can get a baseline for where we are right now? NAVA, the National Association of Voice Actors, is raising money with its Day of Play day right now. You can donate by scanning the QR link on screen right now. And I'm going to spend the next hour and a half convincing you why you should donate, why it's a good idea. And these three fantastic professionals are going to explain the impact that NAVA has had to both them and to any future voice actors, any of you guys in the chat who may be interested in getting involved in voice acting. So we're starting at £14,715. I think we can buff that up a little bit. Let's bring all the cameras back, tech guys. Thank you very much. Now, before we jump into the hardcore stuff, I just want to get to know you guys, where you came from, where you're going to. Chia, were you always a voice actor, or have you gone through different careers in life to end up where you are now?
I've gone through a lot of different careers in life. Um,
Always give us the
I
adventures, Chia.
I've worked in retail. I've been a security guard. I've been a bartender, and a server, and an HR administrator. I've been a lot. Yeah,
You have
I've been
done
a
your
lot of
time.
things.
You
It's
have
been a
done your
long and
time in the
winding
retail
road.
trenches. We've all been there. Well done for
Yeah.
doing that.
Yeah.
Do
Yeah.
you believe that the varied experiences that all these jobs have brought you has been a benefit to your voice acting career?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. In all of those jobs, I dealt with people. And so meeting different people, just seeing different personalities. Before I even knew I wanted to go into voice acting, I always kind of cataloged people's idiosyncrasies, the way they laugh, or certain ways that they talk. And it's just so unique to every individual person that you meet. So yeah, it's been really good.
So have you been storing all those in a bank of performance that you can then call upon in the future and you think, well, I've got to play an annoying character. I remember that person I met in retail 3 years ago when I was working at Christmas. And then you just copy that customer's mannerisms.
No lie. So I was working as a bartender, and this woman, I watched her walk in from across the room. Someone held the door open for her. She didn't even acknowledge them. She was on her cell phone the whole time. She comes over and sits down at the bar and wants to order food. And I know this, but she's still on her phone talking. So I'm trying to give her some time, figuring when she's done. She snaps at me to come over, grabs the menu, just points to what she wants. And I was just like, oh my God. So yeah, she didn't speak much, but I got a whole vibe off of her
Oh yeah,
that
I'm
I've
getting
carried
the
with
vibe
me.
secondhand.
Yeah.
Just by telling me I'm there with you. I hate it just as
Yeah.
much. Jay, this is just a bitch session now. Come on, Jay, tell us about the experiences you've had before becoming a voice actor.
Um, I have to go straight into. I mean, I've had a lot, but when I first moved to California, it was I was in Pirates of the Caribbean 3 as one of Keith Richards' pirates. Came here for on camera, so I was doing the waiting tables thing, and as most on camera actors do when they get to California, and one restaurant I found myself in was the Tam O'Shanter in Los Feliz, and I ended up using a Scott. I'm from Boston, so sarcasm doesn't get you a lot of tips, but a Scottish accent sure does. So I started doing a Scottish accent to all my tables, and I actually got the job pretending to be Scottish. So everyone who hired me thought I was Scottish for like years. And then I found out about voiceover like 3 years into this restaurant job. And I met Yuri Lowenthal, Tara Platt, and they kind of were they thought I was Scottish too. And I apologized to them years after that. I was like, you guys are amazing. And I feel like we're friends. And I need to tell you something. I'm not from Scotland. I'm actually from Boston, Massachusetts. And I've been lying to you this whole time. And so I was joking for a long time. My longest acting gig was Scottish at this restaurant. I did it for 5 years. And
Do you
long
do
story short,
Boston?
like full, what's that?
Can you do a Boston accent?
Oh yeah, my normal accent is this one. And when I first came to LA, everyone was like, "Oh, you guys, where you?" Every conversation was, "Where are you from?" I'm from Boston. Oh, pack your card and have a chat. So it was like I literally I switched talking to this way in California because when I first got here, I was talking like this, and that's just the normal accent. And whenever I get to use this in a real thing, I'm always excited because it's like I feel like a real me because I've been literally acting fake my entire life.
As one of the comments in the Twitch chat says, you've been voiceovering yourself for years. I like to imagine that you
Pretty
had to sit
much.
your friends down and be like, guys, I've got something to tell you. And you're not going to believe it. And then you just change accent. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
For
Joe.
5 years in the Los Feliz area. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Joe. Joe's next. Go, Joe.
Jay, we're going to come back, so I'm interested in this. But
Come
Joe,
back.
tell us what you've done before becoming a voice actor.
Yeah, I have a really typical story when it comes to just like everybody else in the voice acting industry. I was a military intelligence officer for the United States Air Force for a long period of time.
Everyone's been
Got
there.
out
We've all done that. Yeah.
and
We all do our
yeah,
time in military intelligence for a bit.
afterwards worked for the CIA and FBI in Washington, D.C. for a couple of years. And then one day sort of discovered voice acting based on a random conversation I had while I was on duty on a Saturday morning. Booked the first job I ever auditioned for. Again, super typical. I was a cartoon panda speaking Arabic to children in a video game. And then 8 months later, it had snowballed so hard that I sat down with my government employer and said, "I'm sorry, I'm out earning you. I have to leave." And they said, well, best of luck. And that's how I became a voice actor. I moved to
Joe,
LA. I'm not making this shit up. Like, this isn't,
no,
this
I'm
is a
going to be
real
honest.
story.
I'm
This
scared
isn't-
of you right now.
Yeah.
There's a
I
fear
get that.
within me. I'm going to hide it for the rest of the interview, but I am legitimately terrified of what you could do. Please continue.
I understand that. No, that's really like, I mean, that's the long and short of it. It was, it became like I went and I auditioned for absolutely everything I could, and it kind of snowballed. And then really within about 8 months, I went part-time for the government. My boss was very gracious to let me kind of transition nice and smooth. And then 8 months after that, I was like, I don't know, the stakes in this job suck. I'm going to go talk behind a microphone for a living. And they went, see you later. And I said, okay, great. And I haven't looked back since. I've been full-time since fall of 2014. And I moved to LA just about 8 months after that to kind of like hunt different work.
So, from what I can tell from the Twitch chat, the film Taken was potentially based off the skill set that you have, Joe. Do you think maybe it was easier to get voice acting work when you could walk up and they'd say, sorry, who are you? And you just went CIA. And they went, oh, okay, yeah, in you go. Whatever you're doing, whatever you need to do. You just walked into a voice booth. No one stopped you. You've got all the credentials to be wherever you need to be. And then it just so happened you were really bloody good at voice acting.
I've been hired as my fair share of military people, but I'll be honest, I get, or even like, you know, intelligence officers. I was never like a spook. Like if you talk about the idea of a spook, like the dude,
that's what a spook would say, Joe.
Right. Okay, sure. But like that wasn't me. I was more of an intelligence analyst than anything else. But you know, like I really haven't gotten a lot of those like spook type, you know, special forces jobs. I wasn't that guy anyway. But yeah. Super typical boring story.
I can't trust a thing you say.
Joe was taking me up on his plane once.
I did.
On his, you've got a plane?
No, I don't have a plane. And as a matter of fact, people ask me if I flew all the time in the Air Force. I did not fly in the Air Force. It was like a kind of like a bucket list thing. Like I wanted my private pilot's license afterwards. So I went and I got my private pilot's license. And Jay was, I think, God bless your courage, sir. Like the second person I took up after I got my license.
And he did not tell me that until until we're in the sky. We lift off into the sky in this thing that looks. I feel like I'm in a lawnmower, and I'm up.
You really are. It's about the same horsepower.
Yeah, and he's like, "You're the second person I brought up."
This is Joe. It sounds like you've finished the main quest and you're just doing side quests now. That's what's happened. You finished the main quest. You're just picking up. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is amazing. And you know what? You know what couldn't come up with this? AI. AI could not. You see that segue? That was a good segue right there. AI could not come up with that random story that has some connections as well. So, Chia, could you just explain to us what the hell's going on with AI in voice acting from a voice actor's perspective?
There's a few things going on. So on one side of it, it's very easy for fans of a game or a character to take a few seconds of audio from any game that we're in and then feed it into an AI generator and then use that to either make our characters or make us say the lines that the fans want to hear. And that can be innocuous. It can also be dangerous. It can be, in either way, it's theft. And it's using our voices without our consent. And on the business side of things, there are game publishers and game makers who think, hey, you know what? We'll just use AI instead of people. It's cheaper. We can make them say exactly what we want, exactly how we want. It's great. And the problem with that is that it really loses the human connection. The reason that, when fans come up to me, it's not, hey, I like the sound of your voice. It's, oh, wow, when I played the game, you made me feel safe. You made me feel like a badass. You made me feel something. And that's the point. AI can't do that. And yes, it's getting to a point where it's getting good enough that it can fool us. We can't always tell whether that's a human being or a machine. And I think that's part of the problem because, again, you lose that human connection. It teaches us to distrust each other.
Absolutely. The trust, that word trust is so integral to this. I got pretty happy a few months ago thinking, hey, I'm seeing less AI videos. Then I took a moment and realized, oh no, I can't spot the AI videos that are coming out now. They're getting really good. I don't think that artificial intelligence is necessarily entirely a bad thing within its kind of generic use. It can do calculations quickly, it can spot patterns quickly, it can be used to do all of the menial tasks that humans don't necessarily want to do, allowing us free time to create art and to explore beauty and to be creative as people. The irony is that AI is being used to do the creative stuff, which therefore gives us as humans more time to go and do the boring menial tasks of pattern spotting and number recognition and stuff like that, which seems to be the opposite to how it should be. So, Jay, what experience have you had with AI impacting your work as a voice actor?
I don't go searching for stuff that might be my voice, so I don't really know. I know that it's getting harder to book work as a professional voice actor. I think there's less work out there at the moment as everyone's testing the waters in AI. So I think there's less jobs as there were, and the is getting more fierce. So like we have to all step up our game in order to keep working and booking those jobs. So like for me, for the one thing that's made me do is like pants again. I for a while just pretty good at what I can do, and so like you just would book, and now I gotta try a little harder and like tell the story a little harder. So it's making me a stronger actor, and it's making to do what it can't do, which is bringing you bring your own real life isms and all of your own stuff to the character. That AI working off of stuff in the that existed already. Well, I'm creating news I can work off of, so I'm trying to do it that way.
Doing what AI can't do is a lovely phrase, because I think there's that magic that the audience won't realize isn't there until it's gone. And then they'll go back and watch old performances, they'll play old games, they'll watch old films, and they'll realize there was a beauty. There was a subtle, incredible, intangible thing that made whatever art they enjoyed so beautiful. And I think people will realize that is the human connection, that is the human addition to it. Joe, what kind of impact have you seen AI have on the voice acting industry from the last couple of years up until now?
So I would say within the last year, AI, companies are always going to look for like just from an economic perspective, right? Companies are always going to look for something that's going to save them money, right? So we know that AI is going to save them money because it's going to cost them less to produce something with AI than it is to hire a voice actor, right? And so there's that supply demand curve where now we're not necessarily talking about the supply demand of like voice actors and voice acting products. What we're talking about is what's the threshold of customization and emotion that can get me the desired result I want as a video production person, right? So of course, there is going to be a low threshold of work where the quality doesn't necessarily matter as much, where AI is going to meet that objective, right? It's going to meet the objective of the person producing the video. We go back to things like Fiverr, right? You have Fiverr and you have your pay-to-plays where what somebody needed was, look, I don't need a Hollywood talent to do XYZ. I need somebody to, competently read my script. And so there's a sub-layer of that, which is, I don't even really necessarily need somebody to competently read my script. I just need audible voice, right? And so that is going to be a bottom percentage of quality that AI is going to take. And it sort of makes sense economically, right? The answer to every why question, in my opinion, is follow the money. So the idea of this is like, well, you follow the money. Why is AI having a foothold? Because it saves people money, or vice conversely, like makes people more money. So there is a tier of lower level corporate internal, don't really care how it sounds jobs that can and make sense to be subsumed by AI. Now, with efforts that like Nava is doing with fair voices and making sure that people get accurately compensated, there's a world in which actors are compensated for those things because the producers don't care that it sounds AI. And so then you have an actor who, with agency and compensation, can lend their voice to a project without getting in the booth and still get paid because it doesn't matter. So there's a huge, and this has been like endemic in the voice acting industry forever, where everyone thinks about, oh, it's just cartoons and games. But it's not. There's like, that's the tip of the iceberg. That's 1% of the industry. It's the rest of the industry that's going to be affected, and I think is affected by AI. But there are a couple of things that, like, when I talk about AI in any circumstance, that we have to remember is that, one, good models require good data, whether that's voice or art or whatever is generating that AI thing. It requires good data. So if you can't make a crappy actor sound good without a good actor's data, so acting will always be important. Your skill will always be important. There's the legal thing of, like, scraping people's data and training people over that. That's, I think, a separate issue. But good actors will still be always required to make good AI models. The second thing is, find me someone that booked like a madman in 1990 who still books now. They don't exist. Those voices have expired. Those AI models will expire. Don LaFontaine, bless his soul, couldn't book a thing today. Nobody wants this anymore, right? That's not the way the industry goes. So not only do models require good actors, and actors will always be required to produce good models, but those good models will expire, and it will require new good actors to come into the fold. So there's a new economy that's emerging with AI that is so wild west right now that it's difficult to lock down, and it becomes very scary, especially for people in the industry right now. But that's my general take on how AI is affecting our industry right now.
Joe, that's the most specific general take. I love that. You said that's just general, but you've gone into exact specifics, exactly how it works, who it affects. This is beautiful. This is brilliant. And your passion for it is bleeding through. Now, when you said follow the money, that is the best advice that you can give to almost anyone in any situation to find out the truth of a situation. And acting, performing is a difficult career to get into. I come from a very working class background. I worked hard and I got lucky. And I want to see lots of other people be able to follow their dreams, to go from that childlike moment of I want to be a performer to the adult career of I'm actually sustaining myself and paying my bills and paying my rent through being a performer. So, Chia, could you just give us a brief rundown of the journey that you went on from deciding to become a voice actor to landing a role in one of the largest, most successful video games ever made?
Yeah, so like I said, my journey to this career was pretty twisty turny. I was always interested in acting, and I started taking acting lessons in college. And I also, at the same time, got into radio. And so local ad agencies would, call me up and just be like, "Hey, do you want to do this commercial or that commercial?" And I didn't think anything of it. It was fun and it was great, but I was still really focused on doing like film or stage or something like that. And then I found my way into a voiceover class and I fell in love. And it was amazing because it didn't matter what I looked like. It didn't matter if I was 5'2", which I am. Or no, wait, no, I'm 5'4". Sorry, it's my mom who's 5'2". Um, it matters, people. Those extra 2 inches. But
Those extra 2 inches do matter. It's true. I've been told that many times.
But anyway, I fell in love with it, and so I took a lot of training for voiceover because it is a different style of acting. Just like there's a certain style for film, there's a certain style for stage, and there's a certain style and technique for voiceover acting. Through that, I got an agent and started working more and more. And Vi is one of the first video games I booked, and I still remember the audition. She's been really special to me since day one. They gave me the concept art with the lines, and I saw her pink hair and her steampunk goggles and the big fists, and I was just like, oh my God, I love her. I am her, and she is me, and we are one. And so I went in and I did the booth, and it was one of those rare moments where, because I did feel I knew her so well, I wasn't self-conscious. I wasn't second guessing myself. I wasn't in my own head about like, oh, does this sound right? Or I would do it a different way. Like, I just went and I did it. And I came out and I was like, okay, if I don't book this job, there's something wrong with the world. And then I booked it. And we had so much fun in the recording session. And we ended up getting through the scripted material a little early. And so they started writing some lines on the fly towards the end. Can you say this? Can you say this? Can you say this? And I was like, yes, I can. And it was a blast. It was a blast. I had so much fun.
2 points that you've made there that I really want to drive home. You loved it, and it was fun. AI can't love, and AI finds nothing fun. It's an uncaring robot. But the love and the fun that came through in that recording booth is going to be something that not only you remember and value for the rest of your life, but everyone who plays the game will get to experience and enjoy and love and find fun within and value. AI can't do that. Humans can. Let's keep it humane. Jay, tell us about your journey from deciding to become a voice actor to being involved in one of the biggest video games ever made.
I didn't know anything about voiceover, and I fell into it by accident. And there's a bunch of podcasts somewhere that tell you the very long story about that. And when I got the opportunity to voice for Maokai, I've always wanted to voice like David Attenborough type stuff, like, and I love wizards and I love trees. And when I auditioned for this, I did it in a very wizardy David Attenborough way, right? And I tried to bring a lot of life into it, and wisdom, they're trees, and then I went to the Redwoods, and I literally was in the Redwoods in San Francisco, Muir Woods, when I got the call that I had booked Maokai, and I looked, I was like, I'm in the Redwoods, and I booked this. And I looked down, and there was a piece of redwood, and I grabbed it and put it in my pocket. And my first session at Formosa for this recording, I literally had I said, I just want you all to know that I have a piece of the Redwoods with me. And I thought that was cool, just for, fans or whatever to know. But I was like very excited to voice a tree. It's like, it was like a goal I had always wanted, and it happened very fast. And it's one of my favorite characters that I get to voice, and the great Scott McNeil voiced it before me. And I had to try to do my best. I mean, he's incredible, and so I had to do my best to get as close as I could to doing what he did with the character already. And I feel like I did what they've done with my. Obviously, you hear me now, and anyone played the game is like, that is not how Maokai sounds. And yeah, the people behind the scenes made me sound cooler than I could ever sound ever, because I could never get that deep and have crackly root effects into my voice. Wish I could. But
so just to go back, you got the call, you were in the Redwoods, and you picked up a piece of wood from the actual woods that you were in. You made a relic.
Yeah.
Jay's out here making
I have
artifacts.
a legit relic. Yeah.
You're talking about respecting the trees and wanting to be a wizard. You're out here making actual magical, powerful artifacts with a human experience and a human story behind them. AI can't do that, can it? Can't go to the wood and pick a magical bit of wood
in my booth right now. So and when I got
That's
to
amazing.
do it again, in the last rendition of the game, I had the piece right there. So it's been with me since I've started voicing.
Jay's out here just being straight up whimsical. That's what he's doing. He's just living his best Tom Bombadil life. That's what he's doing right now. Just cruising around forests, making magical bits of wood. That's what Jay's all about. Joe, tell us your amazing story. And I know that you're going to have one from when you decided, I'm going to be a voice actor, up to being involved in League of Legends.
Gosh, I'm about to disappoint the hell out of you. I not only do I not necessarily recall how I got either of the jobs that I have in League of Legends, but both of them are skins, right? They're not like a main champ. So I kind of stepped in to give a different flavor to Blitzcrank, as well as a voice that didn't previously exist, which was EXO. And they essentially are the same thing as like robots with inappropriate emotional responses, which, I resonate with on a personal level. But I don't really have like a bizarre, weird story for this. I I don't recall getting an audition for either of them. I think I was working with Riot on other projects at the time. And they were like, "Oh, we're just going to bring you in for this, and then we're going to bring you in for this." And they were like 3 years apart, like completely 3 years apart. So I don't think I don't remember like getting the call. I just remember sort of like being in the booth and making it happen. I'm really grasping at straws for something interesting and
Joe,
exciting. And I get this all
I'm
the
sorry.
time.
The
Like,
reason I'm laughing so much is because when you said I don't recall, I'm just picturing you there going, I was doing some CIA stuff, some military intelligence
yeah,
stuff. I was crawling through an air vent. There was a bomb to defuse. I had a helicopter on the roof, and I just ended up in a voice booth. There was a script in front of me. I just read it out. I'm
there
in
was
a
one
game
other
now.
task. I was like, it was like, is it the red wire or the green wire? Space Crew's Blitzcrank, and then that's how it went. You know, it's just about multitasking at the time.
That's phenomenal. If we had a film crew to follow you around, your life sounds like a combination of James Bond and Police Academy, where we've got both this
So
kind of
the Police Academy part is absolutely real.
this fantastic. I want to read your book. Whenever you write about what you've done, I want to sit down and read it because
I have
there's
written
so
several
many.
books, but they're not really memoirs.
Oh, you write a memoir, and you know what? AI couldn't write a memoir. It doesn't
AI
have memories.
or the
So
security
we've now
clearance,
got
thank God.
3 incredible voice actors involved in one of the largest and most influential video games of all time. And NAVA, the National Association of Voice Actors, is very much in their corner, fighting to keep the love, the humanity, the genuine connection to all of the players alive. If you would like to support NAVA from the NAVA Day of Play, scan the QR code on screen right now. We have already had some beautiful donations. I'm going to read out a few. First of all, Alistair has donated $500. That is insane. That is a huge amount of support. Thank you so much to Alistair for doing that. TSD with $20 as well. Anonymous throwing in an anonymous donation. Rover with 40. And can we just scroll down? Do I see a $1,000 donation? That is absolutely incredible. Now, you don't have to give $1,000 if you don't happen to have $1,000 lying around. We're not all voice actors in League of Legends. If you have a spare dollar, a spare 5, a spare 10, a spare 15 or 20, and you want to keep the humanity within your video games, donate what you can to NAVA, support them. Let's try and push it toward that 15K because they are out there doing real work to help, whether it's a fledgling voice actor or established talent, making sure they are protected, recognized within the industry to keep AI doing what it should be doing, which is all the boring stuff that humans don't want to do to allow us to work on creating art and beautiful things. Now, I've got a list of questions that was sent to me, and I think that I would be penalized if I don't go through it. So I'm just going to go through this list of questions and make it seem like I'm not doing that, making it very, very natural. Let's go back to Chia. When people play League of Legends, do you believe they hear you, or do you believe that you have separated yourself from your character strongly enough that they are a different entity entirely?
Where Vi is concerned, you're hearing a lot of me.
Okay,
She
you're injecting yourself in there.
very much so, very much so.
How
And I
so?
think in every how so? Well,
Yeah.
Vi is very dry, and she hasn't lived the easiest of lives, and so I think that for her, that's it's a little bit of a barrier. It's a little bit of being able to sort of hide her vulnerability behind this kind of sarcastic, it's not really touching me, it's not really hurting me exterior. And that's something I can relate to. And I think I bring a little bit of myself to a lot of my characters. I think that's part of what makes me good at what I do. I also try really hard to give each character their own due. It's not like every character needs to be me. But I do think I bring my perspective and my experience into everyone that I touch.
When you mentioned retail earlier, I worked for Toys R Us while they were still a company for about 3 years, and doing 3 Christmases at Toys R Us, that'll break anyone's spirit. So when you said that you very much have this tough outer exterior that's actually housing genuine, love and warmth inside that people don't always get to see, I get it. I fully get it. That was my customer service voice as well. That big fake smile you plaster on while someone's shouting at you that a Furby isn't the right price. We've all been there. Now, Jay, we know that apparently you're an actual druid based on what you have told us, and you're out here creating magical things all the time. What experiences have you brought from your life into the character? How have you brought that character to life?
Well, first of all, I was wondering how you got all those toys, but now that you worked at, Toys R Us, that makes a lot of sense.
These are all
Behind you,
business expenses
you now
because they're on
live in
display.
Toys R Us. It's great. But I am a big, huge fan of nature and the forest, so it's not that hard to feel how Maokai feels about. See, I've said his name so many different ways, I can't pick one. It wasn't hard to have the feelings. He just cares so much about his saplings and the forest. So he's rooted in truth and heart, and I feel like that's not hard for me to do. So it was kind of very easy for me to get there. And I do voice a lot of like older characters, and this might be one of the oldest ones that I've ever voiced. So this is like my basis for all other older characters I've voiced pretty much. And whenever he has a problem, it is literally because he cares about the thing that people are trying to harm, right? So it's like as much as he's a big brute of a tree guy, he's like so much of like the grandfather you all love. He'll kill you, if you cross him, but
But he'll love you while doing it.
Really good for defense. Yeah.
You've just said truth, heart, love, grandfather. AI does none of these things. It doesn't understand what they are. It's just a language model. Joe, I'm afraid to ask, what experiences have you had in your incredible life that you have called upon to aid in your voice acting career? League of Legends specifically. Is it just me that is finding Joe? Joe is giving us his perfect rendition of his excellent miming abilities while his microphone remains on mute.
Hear him.
He meant to do that. Joe has been tracked down by the CIA. Joe has finally, his past has caught up to him. The people that were hunting him have finally found him. He's said far too much about it. The room he's in is guarded. There's traps and lasers on the outside. You just can't see it. They're delaying them, but he'll be back soon. Joe, we good? Joe, you're going to have to interpretive dance this, man. I understand. Joe, right, we can do this. Joe, I'm on your side. I fully believe in it. Let's just do ask questions in the chat. Hey, tech guys are working on it, don't worry. He's doing his best Jason Bourne impression right now. Let's ask questions in the Twitch chat. What are we going to ask? We can only ask yes or no answers, as Joe is limited now on his replies. But we can do this. We carry on. The show must go on. Someone give me a question in the Twitch chat right now that we can ask Joe that has a yes or no answer, and we're just going to give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down. I'll give you guys a few minutes to think of some questions we can ask. Let's continue to read through my list of pre-prepared questions that are allowed to be asked. In fact, tech guys, can we bring up the donation page to see where we are right now?
You guys should have heard that. Everything else is hearing that.
Oh, I hear you there.
Okay.
Yeah, great. Okay. I have a little
beautiful. We're back,
here,
Joe. Sorry, carry on.
Got jacked up, so I reset it.
Beautiful. We're back, Joe. Sorry, carry on. Got jacked up, so I reset it. In fact, we've got Let's Fight the Robots Together. That is beautiful. Keep up the amazing work. Fantastic. We've got the $20 donation. Keep up the important work. And it is important, the work that they are doing. Joe, tell us the experiences you've had in your past life that have helped you out with your voice acting, either in or out of League of Legends.
Okay, so that was great that you added the caveat about being out of League of Legends, because I was going to say, are you aware that my character in League of Legends is two small kittens piloting a giant mech robot? And I don't know that there are many people that like, I'd be super interested in someone that's like, oh, that's a direct correlation to my real life. I'll say that, like,
the perfect
there are
cover, Joe.
things that, like, having been in a job that is extremely high stakes, right? Like my previous career literally had life or death stakes involved in it. And I remember talking with um, a brilliant director and actor named Charlie Adler just shortly after I got to Los Angeles. And I've told this story in a couple, so bear with me if you heard it before. But it was like my first workshop in LA, and I walked into the booth. I did my thing for Charlie, and he came out and he was like, "You've been doing this for like less than 2 years. How are you? Like, you have no acting background? How are you not nervous? Like, how are you so calm?" And I was like, "Charlie, if I fuck up in there, nobody dies. Oh my God. Like, are you kidding me? Like there's nothing I can do." My booth is over here. I don't know why I'm gesturing in this direction. You guys have no context for this. My booth is here. There's nothing that I can do in there that's gonna get anybody killed, which is great. And that's awesome. So I can approach acting with a little bit of sort of like a mentality of comparison, right? So it's like it's all play, and it always will be play for me in the booth, um, because the alternative was so starkly different. The other thing that it really helped me with, from not necessarily an acting perspective, is a business perspective. Like I can stay, I stay relatively disciplined. I stay organized. Unlike most actors, I show the fuck up on time. Like I know what time it is, and I know I'm not talking about anybody else in here at all. Of course
Son
not.
of a bitch.
But anyway, like it's just like the ability to keep myself organized and run my career as a business. There's a mentality that a lot of actors and all creatives really, like, whether you're musicians or artists or whatever, there's like the dream of the creating, and it's wonderful and beautiful, but then there's the system of sustaining yourself, and I think a lot of people forget that part, and I focused a lot on that part first. And what that did for me creatively is that, like, when I get into the booth, I don't approach it from a position of like desperation isn't the right word, but like I don't approach it like I don't need this. This is play, right? Like I said before, this is play, and it's liberating because uh, I don't approach it like it's something like it's really, really, really necessary, right? Like I'm not so nervous and uptight, and that kind of comes from the military background, I guess.
No, that's a beautiful, beautiful nature, a way to approach something, to have that comfort, to have that understanding that the high stakes that you've experienced in your past life, and when you're getting into here, you're going to do the best you possibly can, but you understand that it is effectively a level of play. I think all actors and all creatives, we enjoy playing on the playground at school. We enjoy playing make-believe, and now we're able to put all of our skills and all our creativity toward that. And the fact that you approach that with such a beautiful and charismatic and confident level. Also, if in the future I do find out that you are just two kittens in a trench coat, I'm going to be like, damn, he's good. He had me convinced he wasn't, but he might actually be. One day in the future, we'll look back and go, the clues were there. The clues were all there, but my God, he was just so convincing. Now, Cheer, a lot of people will be watching this and thinking, I'd love to get into voice acting. How do they do that?
Voice acting is acting. So I always tell everybody, take acting classes. And they don't have to be voiceover specific. You can take the stage classes at your local theater. You can take them in your college. You take improv classes, take singing classes. Singing is also really helpful for voiceover. But get the training under your belt so that you understand what acting is and what acting does for you, like what your acting style is and how that works. Then when you feel ready, then yes, you could take some voiceover specific classes if you wanted to, but it's really about getting that training under your belt first so that when you are ready to audition and then you step into the booth for your first booked gig, you are ready to play and have fun in a conscious, deliberate way.
That's beautiful. Booking acting classes, and people forget that voice acting is acting. The whole body is used to express, to emote. On your first acting class, you will be told acting is reacting, and you will know you have taken enough classes when you are sick of hearing that phrase. When you walk into a class and someone says acting is, and you just instinctively go reacting, then you've made it. That's when you can leave, and that's when we give you the black belt in performance, and we understand, yes, you now get it. You can now go out and act and perform. Acting is reacting. Acting is a whole body experience. It's emotive. It's beautiful. In fact, I saw some behind the scenes footage of, I believe it was The Mandalorian, where they were still holding the characters physically, even while filming on a green screen background. There is so much gesture involved within voice acting. There is so much tension held in various parts of the body, not just the lungs, whenever we are performing, whenever we are emoting. Jay,
And can I add on
what
to
would
that?
your
That
advice be? Sorry, Chia, carry on.
Sorry, I'll be quick. That as voice actors, the joke is that we're all, hearing voices in our head and talking to ourselves in a small padded room. But the big part of it is that we have to create everything. Your mention of the green screen is what reminded me of this. We're creating the environment, we're creating the other characters that we're talking to, because a lot of the time we're working alone. And so you've got to really be able to, as Richard Horvitz says, enter that secondary reality. You've really got to give over to that sense of imagination and give over to that sense of play if you're going to do any of this with any kind of authenticity, I guess.
Authenticity is a beautiful word, and it's something that AI cannot do. Donate to Nav a Day of Play. Make sure we keep humans within the voice acting industry. AI can't do it. Check out the segue. That's why they get me. That's why I'm here. I did not realize it would be a 3 a.m. thing local time, but we are here and we're doing our best. £14,790. If you have any spare cash and you would like to support humans remaining within your video games, within your artistic experiences, please do what you can. Do like Carrie did a second ago and donate $5. Do like Jeremy Hollis did 2 seconds ago and donate $5. Do like Veronica did and donate $25. My God, Veronica, if you're in the chat, you're an absolute beauty. We love you very, very much. You are fantastic. And if you're sat there thinking, I want to be a voice actor, but I don't want to exist in a small padded room, look around. I exist in a rather large padded room. One day we will all get there. If you start now, you'll be able to get there eventually. Jay, what is your advice for a new up-and-coming fledgling voice actor?
Do all the stuff that was just said, and also then go do marketing and also some business side of school and learn editing and all that stuff. But if you are doing all of this stuff before and all of this stuff and you stop having fun, then we're doing something wrong. So like, as long as you're having fun doing it, chasing the dream, then you'll be in great shape. As soon as it becomes a task or a chore, or I wish I didn't have to audition for those today, then you're not going to, you're never going to get to the level. It's all we're like what Joe said. We're not gonna kill anyone doing what we're doing, and we're not gonna save any lives either. But we're, as long as we're just having fun, bringing stories to life and being vulnerable. It's like allowing yourself to go there. A lot of things that I book is because I'm reading, I'm telling a story, and I'm evoking a sense of feeling inside me when I tell the story. And if you're just a lot of people just have voices. Like, you have a good voice, you should do voiceover. And if you just rely on just your voice, you won't get that far. You have to put in the rest of you. So it's like, fully invest all of you, the feelings and the emotions and your vulnerability, and the voice just comes along with it. And just if you're not having fun, go do something else and come back. The booth will still be here.
Fun, feeling, emotion, investment of all of you. I'm collecting all these phrases that AI can't do that humans can, because every time I've heard an AI voiceover, I immediately swipe to the next YouTube short. I don't want to hear that same generic voice again. I want to hear someone having fun. I want to hear someone loving it. And you will have a lot of people walk up to you and say, oh, you have a great voice, you should do voiceover. People walk up to me and say, you should do voiceover. I say, no, I'm just British. This is what we all sound like. This is just the base level. Everyone in Britain sounds like this. I'm not special. Joe, what would your advice be to a fledgling voice actor who wants to find their way into this industry?
So, as a established actor who has yet to take an acting class, I have some weird perspectives on the industry and skill and creativity in general. I learn
I
voice
love these
acting.
bits, Joe. This is fantastic. This is making me very happy.
Say that again.
I love this bit. Every time you start talking, I don't know where we're going to go with that sentence,
I
but I'm
feel the same
excited to
way.
go on the journey with you.
Yeah. So, you know, there are definitely surrogate skills that I absolutely always recommend to people, particularly voice actors, which were already mentioned. Singing and improv. I think that improv probably like everyone in life should do. It doesn't matter if you're an actor or not. It makes you so much more socially capable. It makes you more like neurologically nimble from like both in a personal interaction perspective and like an actual neuroplasticity brain chemistry perspective. I think everybody should do improv. But mostly, like, I think you should just go try it. There is no better teacher than experience. Um, I don't want to get like too didactic here, but when I talk about
Please
developing,
do.
like when I teach,
Everyone is hanging off
I
your
talk
word,
about
man. Do it.
I have okay, so I have the 4 Ds of creative expression, right? Which is any sort of thing that you do, whether it's music or art or I don't know, interpretive dance. I don't care what it is. It's derive, define, develop, and distinguish. The first step to anything is to develop your tastes, is to derive. Do what other people do. Go look at performances of people you respect who are kind of in your wheelhouse and go like, oh, this is really interesting. Can I make that accent? Can I make that voice? Can I make that pitch and power of this performance? Can I do it? And what happens? Um, and once you do that a lot, you can then move on to the second D, which is define, which is what the hell am I doing? What is that person doing? Oh, that's an interesting technique. Oh, that's an interesting thing. Oh, that's right. When we do have conversations with people, our voice does this when we want to suggest something that's already been talked about. It's super, super specific. That's really interesting. Now I can move on to the third D, which is develop that. I can take that tool and learn how to use it really, really well. Whose ever tool I derived and defined, I can now use that tool really, really well. And then there's distinguish, which is I can use this hammer as a boomerang and it's going to be cool. It's taking the rest of it and saying like, oh, now that I know all this stuff, I can take the rules and bend and break them and distinguish myself as a voice. And this is a super iterative process that again is in any creative field. Musicians, jazz musicians, right? They'll go listen to other people's solos and transcribe them and then lay them on, and then so that's deriving. And they'll lay them on top of chord changes and go, oh, he's doing a really cool thing where he moves from one key to another here and references a piece of vocabulary from Charlie Parker, blah, 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 blah. And now I'm going to develop that skill. So I have lots of different vocabulary. Now I'm going to play it all backwards and distinguish myself. So everything within that, there are no rules. And I don't like to prescribe anything to anybody, but I think that's the general structure of any kind of creative endeavor.
That was beautiful. Genuinely, thank you for that. The idea that you need to learn the rules that you're working with and then iterate on them at the end. And if anyone was doubting Joe's military background, the moment he dropped a 4-letter acronym and they were all the same letter, everyone knows, yeah, that's military right there. That's definitely what he was doing. That's very, very true. The idea that when you said, I'm going to throw this hammer as a boomerang, the idea of iterating on what you have, I've always been taught that limitation breeds creativity. And if you're forced to find ways to use what you have, you will find the most creative ways. Humans are amazing at coming up with solutions that none of us really saw or thought of. There is that moment of spontaneous creation that happens within the absolute insanity that is the human mind, and AI is struggling with random creation. It can't make something new. It can't spontaneously generate a thought that has never been had before. It can take what it knows from a large language model and smash things together that already exist, but that idea of beautiful, spontaneous creation that comes about through the human experience of iteration within a subject, that is something that AI will not be able to do. That is something that remains uniquely human and something that Nava is protecting. We have broken the 15,000 barrier from what I can see, because Alistair has donated $790, which is insane. Charlie with the $15, $20 from the, I'm going to make sure I'm pronouncing this correctly. Is it Michelle? Please let it be Michelle. $5 from Carrie. Every single person as valuable, supporting keeping the humanity within this. We broke 15K. That's Absolutely
Love it.
fantastic. That's incredible.
That's
That is
awesome.
genuinely
Nice,
amazing.
nice,
Now,
nice.
what I would like to ask now is a bit of a personal question. Chia, what voice acting performance did you experience when you were younger that made you realize voice acting is one hell of an art form? For me personally, it would have been the video game Soul Reaver, listening to Kane and Raziel talk to each other. Oh, Shakespearean it was. What experiences have you had, whether it's in video games or other media, that made you sit back and go, God damn, that's amazing?
It was Cinderella, which for me is hilarious because I'm not a girly girl, and no shade to girly girls. It's just not who I am. But I love the movie Cinderella, hate the whole man saving women thing. But I sang all the songs, but the performance that stood out for me was the stepmother. And her ability to just sound so condescending and so sneering with just a word, Cinderella, like just amazing. And I didn't know it at the time. It wasn't until I was already doing voiceover and then I went back and just happened to watch the movie again, and I was like, oh my God, this has made an impression on me since I was a kid. And it's just, I grew up on anime and Sailor Moon and Cartoon Network and all of those performances. Joe, you mentioned Charlie Adler. I freaking love Charlie. He's an amazing coach and an amazing teacher. But before I ever coached with Charlie, I loved his performances in Cow and Chicken. And the day that I learned he was both of them, I was like, what? Like just mind blown. And so just there's so many performances. Like, we'll be here the rest of the night if you want me to talk about all the performances that like really meant something to me, because they're endless. And it's because every single one of those performances was so visceral and so like just spoke to something that I could connect with and that I could relate to in one way or another. And it's I fell in love with it as an art form. Like it really truly is an art form. And I love watching behind the scenes videos of people when they do. To this day, I love watching actors in the booth and behind the scenes bits, because I'm just like like the magic hasn't died for me in any way, shape, or form.
That's beautiful. That's genuinely fantastic. If you are joining us in the Twitch chat right now, please, in the chat, write the performances that you have experienced, the memorable moments, whether it's from a video game, an audio book, whether it's from a film, whether it's from a TV show, whether it's from a musical. If you were stopped dead in your tracks and just listened, because that spoke to you personally, it affected you, it changed you. I love anime. I was in Japan recently. I spent a month in Japan. I've never watched Neon Genesis Evangelion. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to sit back and watch all of Neon Genesis Evangelion in Tokyo. I'm going to fully immerse myself. I had onigiri and everything. It was beautiful. And I watched it and it made me cry and it made me sad and it was fantastic. And it was an absolute beautiful experience. We've all had those moments where we sit back and think, oh my goodness, this is an art form. Jay, do you have any memorable moments from any time in your life when you were listening to a performance and suddenly thought, oh my God, this is absolutely fantastic. I will remember this.
Before I knew that it was voiceover, it was called voiceover. I'm a big gamer from when I was like a kid. So Metal Gear Solid was the first time I was like, I'm playing this like I'm watching a movie, as like when I was like whatever, 12, I don't know, 13. And then, of course, Mass Effect was the next time I was playing a game, and I was like, I'm involved in all these people and their lives and their relationships. And then animation-wise, Gargoyles. Can I get remember Gargoyles? So
That was,
freaking
I
good.
can remember that. That was, I think, just about
And that's where I got a lot of
TV when I
my
was getting into
old
it.
voice feel. You know, like so many of the statues, Gargoyles. So it's, I was like, oh, this is so great. But it wasn't until I found out about VO and happened to be the piccolo player at the Tam O'Shanter, who was in the back. Remember back when I was at the Tam O'Shanter, it's Scottish. the piccolo player happened to be a sound engineer at Technicolor. And when I was telling him I was thinking about voiceover, he's like, I got to bring you into the studio. She brings me into the studio, and he's like, you got to see some of these people. Well, who was it that showed up? Rob Paulson. I didn't know who he was at the time, but he sits down and he goes and does 5 different characters in the span of 30 minutes flawlessly. And I was floored. And then he comes around the back, and I still didn't know who he was because I still was getting my bearings on all this. And they start to tell me, oh, this is Michelangelo. Oh, this is like all of the characters of my childhood. Is this man was what he just sat down and fully invested 3-4 characters in 30 minutes and was done for his paycheck for that. And I was like, this is what I want to do forever. And I said, what can you give me an advice? Like, am I in the right, what am I? He's like, the fact you're here and you just watched me do something means you're in the right path. Just keep going. So yeah, that was my like VO moments of glory.
This links back to something that Joe said earlier so strongly when you spoke about how improv improves your social skills. And Jay, you were in the right place at the right time. You were speaking to the right people. You had the confidence to go and give it a go. You said that you were speaking to the piccolo player. Obviously, you had a decent connection, decent friendship there, and you were able to go and chat. And those networking moments, and that's what networking truly is, which is just meeting people, being kind, being nice, being genuine, and having the confidence and the ability to put yourself out there. What Joe said earlier is 100% correct. Doing improv classes, doing anything within this world is going to improve your ability to interact within a social setting, which is one of the most important things you can do to improve your chances of meeting the right people. Hard work is extremely important, but socializing, talking, networking, just as important. And they say that luck is what happens when hard work meets preparation. Or, yeah, it's hard work and preparation meets chance, meets the moment, isn't it? That's the one. And the harder you work and the more social you can be, the higher the chance that you will end up in a situation that you can capitalize on and follow this incredible artistic path. Joe, what experiences or what performances did you experience as a kid or younger that made you think, oh my goodness, voice acting is really powerful?
I don't know if you heard me yell hell yeah when you said Soul Reaver, but
hell yeah.
There's a speech that is in Legacy of Kain Defiance that he gives. Like, he gives this incredible monologue at the beginning. That gave me chills as like a kid. But even before that, now there's a disconnect, and I think it's a good thing when you're like a little kid and someone's voice inspires you or changes you. You don't want to think that's a voice actor. You want to think that's a character, right? Like, that transparency is part of the art form. So this isn't necessarily like, oh, that's a voice actor, but I remember it's 1994, and Quest for Glory 4, which is a point and click adventure, has just come out. And it's the first one, I believe, that had any voice. And you open it up, and John Rhys Davies is the narrator. And he made that game hysterical. And it was a totally different experience because I had been playing, point and click adventures, Quest for Glory 1, 2, and 3 that had no voice. And so like the difference in experience when, I mean, this isn't just like some schmuck they picked off the street. This is a great actor. And I found out much later that I think Rob Paulson is in it. And I think Jim Cummings is in it. And they had this like incredible cast of characters in 1994 before anybody thought video games were cool. And the contrast in experience from Quest for Glory 3 to Quest for Glory 4, like Quest for Glory 4 is easily like my favorite in the series. And I think it's because finally the whimsy of the incredible writing that was that series got the extra polish of these incredible actors that just came it through. And like, John Rhys Davies delivering some of the lines in that game is fantastic. Like, it just made that whole thing absolutely fantastic. And that's probably one of my earliest memories of noticing that voice had an impact. I love Quest for Glory.
That's beautiful. You mentioned point and click adventure games as well. Have you played the Discworld games where they got one of the Pythons to voice Rincewind?
I haven't, but that sounds fantastic.
It was so funny. I mean, I love the old point-and-click adventure games. Broken Sword, Broken Sword 1, 2, and 3 are some of my favorite games of all time. The voice actors behind George and Nicole, fantastic. People in the chat are saying that Siphon Filter was mentioned as well earlier. One of my favorite games, Gabe Logan, the man you call when Solid Snake and Sam Fisher are both busy. You go and get Gabe Logan from Siphon Filter. I actually believe that we had David Hayter, the voice of Solid Snake, on this exact stream a couple of hours ago. I was watching that part. That was beautiful. It was fantastic. Now, Chia, where would you, we're getting quite personal here. You don't have to answer if you don't want to. Where would you like to go with your voice acting career? Is there anything that you aspire to or anything that you really wish you'd be able to do?
I mean, really pie in the sky, I would love to create my own series. I would love to
Okay.
write it and to voice in it and to cast it, and that's really the dream, the dream. But you know, just in terms of little me as a voice actor, I want to. Right now, the dream is to be able to keep working. That's the dream, and it's really under threat, and that's really scary. And I don't want it just for me. I want it for all of my colleagues and my peers, and I want it for my kid. I want to know that not that, you know, he's gonna have an acting career. God, please don't have an acting career, but that he has a future.
And if you
So
want to be able to secure the continuation of this career, is there anything
right.
the viewers of this Twitch stream could do that would support this exact stream right now in that way, Segway?
Oh my
Donate
gosh.
money.
If you have just even $1 or $5 that you could throw at the link that happens to be in chat right now, that would be amazing. And also,
Jay
I've
mentioned
also
earlier.
seen.
Sorry, Chia,
Sorry,
carry on.
really quick. I've also seen that if you are yourself a voice actor, established, up and coming, aspiring, whatever, you can become a member of NAVA. And let me tell you, NAVA is an incredible association to belong to as a voice actor. They are fighting so hard for our rights and our ability to keep doing what we do. And I have been able to avail myself of their services in ways I never expected I would have to. One of the ways that I did recently was they have a lawyer that can do contract review, among other things. And I was able to avail myself of that service, have them look over a contract for me for an upcoming job. And I was so grateful that I could, because then I was free to say, like, yes, I can take that job. I am comfortable doing this, and know all the details of what I was signing. So yes, if you are not able to donate, but you want to feel something that will give you a good return on investment, become a member of NAVA. It will serve you so well.
That was not only a beautiful speech, but it was delivered in the middle of a 139-person raid onto the channel. So I'm going to need you to give it again from the start because it was cut off slightly. And I need the raiders to get the full experience of this. Raiders, welcome to the Twitch channel. I'm JoshStrifeHayes. I'm your host, talking to some fantastic voice actors. We've got Chig, we've got Jay, and we've got Joe from League of Legends and other works. You have heard these voices absolutely everywhere. We are talking about the impact that AI or artificial intelligence is having on the voice acting industry, and how it not only sometimes steals voices from actors who did not give their consent for their voice to be used, but is also taking away the ability for humans to make a career from artistic expression. AI should be doing all the complex, boring calculations we don't want to do and freeing up time for us to be creative and expressive, to spread love and joy. It should not be doing that bit to give us more time to do the boring calculations and stuff. If you would like to support NAVA on the day of play right now, tech team, could we please bring up the QR code on stream? If you are watching this stream right now and you have any spare cash to give, and you would like to support the continuation of human expression within video games, you can support NAVA, the National Association of Voice Actors Foundation, by scanning the QR code on screen right now. We have already raised $15,615. That is an incredible amount, and it will allow NAVA to do a lot of good supporting the voice actors, both old and new. We have had more donations from more beautiful people. Jay, What would you like to do in your voice acting career in the future? What's the, as Chia so lovely put it, what's the pie in the sky view? What's the dream?
Any of the at least 10 of the auditions I did the last 2 weeks, if I book any of those. I mean, there's some really good ones. There was some like amazing cartoons, incredible video games, really funny things coming down the line that obviously I can't talk about, but I auditioned for them and my fingers and toes are crossed and I walk crooked now. But any of those would be great. And I don't know what's coming up next. You know what I mean? Like, I'm always so impressed with the next thing coming down the line. I know what my wheelhouse is after all this time. I know exactly what I would be really good at doing. I just need the other people on the other side to hear it and then cast me.
Beautiful.
Because I want to do
You
that.
sound like you're living the dream now. You're living,
Yeah,
if you get any of the things you've booked, you are just taking it a day at a time and you're happy to be here.
Absolutely. And that's, this brings it to, I don't know why Charlie Adler's the guy of tonight, but I had booked the very first thing I booked a video game wise was at WB Studios. And it was back then, when you're getting into VO, any part is like the coolest part you ever got. So like I had booked some like lieutenant, NPC characters, non-playable characters in some game that I didn't even know the game because they don't tell you. So I like was so excited because it was the first time I was on the WB lot. And I pulled up under the WB water tower like we all dream of doing, and I was like, and I went to the WB sound studio, and I was on top of the world, right? But then I get to this bar restaurant, and there's Charlie Adler, and I was like, I'm at the top of my world, and this is Charlie Adler. He's done a million things that are way cooler than that. So like I was downplaying, he's like, how's it going? I was like, it's a really good day, but it's like nothing that you like, it's just, and he stopped me and he was like, every job I get, big or small, is an incredible job. And he's like, never downplay. Like if you're feeling good, feel good. Like celebrate. Let's cheers. And like ever since that moment, it's like these little Charlie Adler bits of wisdom that it just like he just tells you like live your life and be excited about even the smallest part. My old teacher, there are no small parts, there are small actors. So it's
oh yeah, we've all heard it.
Yeah, we've all heard that shit. But it's true. It's like I'm so excited and elated for every part that comes my way, and so like I'm excited for the next one. You may or may not know of me because of a certain part, but like I'm super stoked that I had a great time playing. So whatever's next.
What I love about that is that you have just reinforced how a human connection helped you. A human connection impacted you. AI can't do that. We should support Nava on the day of play today. We should donate what money we have to Nava to make sure that AI stays away and the human connections like that can continue. We can have that moment of talking to someone that we admire, talking to someone that we respect, and seeing that they not only will acknowledge us as a human, but respect us as a professional and encourage us, give us that boost, that support we need to continue going down this very difficult path that is creation. Joe, what's the big picture idea? What's the dream?
Like Jay said, there's very few days where I don't wake up and go, man, am I lucky? I love all the jobs that I do. And I do a lot of really unsexy jobs as well. Like I do a lot of e-learning and I do a lot of corporate. And it's always fun to tell somebody else's story or assist in telling somebody else's story. Pie in the sky stuff, I'd probably like to get back on the mocap stage. PCAP work is really, really fun. I've done a fair bit of it, but not in a little while. I'd like to kind of get back to it. And it's always fun, if not like just extremely exhausting, to have that full spectrum performance. And I think it's because it's a little bit different. I think it was Jay mentioned it earlier. I can't remember. Somebody mentioned earlier about how like we're all in our imagination there. Like voice acting in particular is extremely difficult because we have no environment to play off of, right? And acting is reacting. There's an impulse that comes to us in life. That's how we do everything in life. But we don't have impulses in there. We have to generate them. And we're even lacking other people's facial expressions, other people's movements, other people's like body language. And so it's liberating for us, for me as a voice actor, getting into the mocap volume, the mocap stage, and actually working with other actors without having to have an on-camera career. I think that's a nice caveat. Like, it's like I get a little bit of the on-camera play without having to worry about how my goddamn hair looks, and that's fantastic.
It's more like stage, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like theater in the round.
Yes, Gia, you were the one that said that. I'm sorry. Yes, you said something about it being like all in our imagination. I gave Jay
And another
credit
reason why it's important, because like if you're not able to see and build the world around you, even in commercial, like a 30-second or 15-second piece, like if I can't build who I was talking to, where I was, and why, how close am I to that person in my brain in the booth, then it's not gonna, the story is not, it's not gonna come across as real. So it's like the improv thing that Joe was saying is so important. Like being able to, and if you ever want to do mocap ever, you know, be able to build with blocks and nothing, you know.
The human connection that you have both reinforced as being super important, integral to the acting experience. The human connection of both physicality, how far you are from who you're talking to, the emotion, the facial expression, the energy. It's a game of tennis, bouncing it back and forth. The actor delivers the energy, the other actor returns it, it changes it, it manipulates the trajectory of where it's going to go to. AI cannot do that. And I know this because I've listened to endless amounts of AI conversations. I have watched all of those videos being shared all across Twitter. I refuse to call it X. It's still called Twitter, of different characters talking to each other. We've all seen them. Look at this amazing AI video that's been made. It's got sound now. And what I hear is two bland people talking at each other, not talking with each other. The energy is not being taken or manipulated in any way. It has lost the humanity. And Nava is about keeping the humanity within the performances. We are so close to the next threshold. Tech guys, could we please bring up that QR code one more time so we can see how gosh darn close we are? $15,000, $615. That's absolutely incredible. If you have donated to the Nava Day of Play, which is supporting voice actors in video games, in commercials, in film and TV, in wherever they need to be, you are effectively casting your vote for humans over AI. And that is a vote that I would support any day. The AI disconnect is very, very real. There was a beautiful, beautiful comment in the Twitch chat earlier that simply said, I cannot go to a convention and meet an AI. You can go to a convention and you can meet Shea, you can meet Jay, you can meet Joe, you can meet these amazing actors, amazing performers who have brought life and humanity and love and hate and every emotion in between to characters that you have spent hundreds, in some cases, in League of Legends case, thousands of hours with. And you can see the love and the truth and the emotion behind their eyes. Now, we need to be making space for the next segment, so let's give real quick closing remarks. Chia, why are humans better than AI?
Because you can it's the connection. It always comes down to the connection for me, because humans change you, they impact you, they make you feel something, and we grow and learn and become closer because of it. And that's the thing that matters.
It does matter. It matters so much, and people don't realize it, how much it matters until it's gone. Jay, why are humans better than AI?
It is actual intelligence instead of artificial.
It's
the
so
original
simple.
AI.
It's so true. No, it's straight up so true. Joe, why are humans better than AI?
I don't. Oh, Joe's turn.
No, do it, Jay. Bring it home.
Go on,
Whatever you're
Jay.
going to say, I'm sure it was great.
I was just gonna say I wasn't trained in the Army or CIA, and yet me and we're in so many games together. You know, he didn't grow up doing theater and stuff like I did, but here we are together. You know, it's like it's actual. That's it.
The fact that Jay, that's actually really beautiful. You've talked about different histories, different stories, different experiences meeting within what is effectively the battlefield of performance, of creativity. And we have passed $16,000, $16,115.89. 171 people have supported the Nava Day of Play 2025 so far. That is insane. Joe, look at Joe donating $500. You cheeky little scamp down there. We spot
What
you,
a
Joe.
guy.
You
For
absolutely
some
What a
reason, it showed up
guy.
in all caps, so it's like Josija.
AI can't do that, can it?
AI can't do that.
AI cannot do that because it doesn't care about anyone or anything. Joe sitting there being all stoic in the corner when actually he's just a big gosh darn sweetheart, isn't he? Joe, why are humans better than AI?
I mean, I could like talk about this all day, but
You've
the
got 2 minutes.
I've got 2 minutes. The first thing we ever did with each other, from any social standpoint, like one of the oldest hobbies and traditions of all time is storytelling, because it is the currency by which we exchange points of view. An AI cannot do that. An AI can aggregate points of view, but can never exchange it. If we're using AI to replace the one thing that helps us each understand what it means to be human, because that's all we're doing. Like, all we're doing is teaching each other what it means to exist in this insane, improbable thing that we call life, then like, what's the point? I think people have made it very, very clear that that's not the way they want to exchange those stories. That's not the currency they want to be passing back and forth, because we need real points of view, or we don't learn. We will stagnate absolutely and flatline, without the ability to continue to exchange real, original, meaningful stories that are grounded in each other's perspectives.
Beautiful.
So,
Thank
yeah.
you very much, Joe. The connection
I love
and
that.
the sharing of human experiences is something that AI will never be able to replicate. And if you are joining us on this Twitch stream right now and you have enjoyed even a fraction of what we have talked about, that only exists because 4 people on your screen right now are sharing their different experiences, their different inputs, their different truths, and together we are finding a new story that now will go forward with us 4 having interacted with each other. We will go forward in each other's lives, and it will change the trajectory of each of our lives, maybe even only a small way. But it's happened because humans have interacted. A massive thank you to NAVA, the National Association of Voice Actors, for having me on to host this segment. Thank you very much to Chia, Jay, and Joe for finding time to talk to me. Thank you to everyone who has donated. If you have time, bring the QR code up one more time. Donate to NAVA to keep humans within voice acting. Thank you for your time. This stream has been going 10 hours. It's got longer to go. Let's throw to a break. You've got even more segments coming up. Thank you very much.